So this is the final video in the series on brainwaves as pertaining to the peaceful self process, yoga, consciousness, and meditation. And this particular one is on gamma. So what are brainwaves? They are electrical pulses which the brain emits, which are then measured per second by an electroencephalogram or an EEG. And these pulses are measured in cycles per second, CPS. And as the cycles per second speed up or slow down, the rate of our thoughts speed up or slow down, along with variations in our mood. So there are 5 types of brain waves. Beta, which is 13 to 30 cycles per second, which is what we're involved in during the day when we're busily engaged in our life, in our work, in our activities and conversation. Alpha, 8 to 12 cycles per second when we're much more relaxed, dreamy. We're doing things like mindfulness meditation. We're imagining things. Theta, 4 to 7 cycles per second when we're drowsy and drifting off into sleep or deeper states of meditation. Delta, 3 to 5 cycles per second. Some say 0 to 3 when we are deeply asleep, not dreaming, or in deep meditation states, especially samadhi. And gamma, which we're going to look at in this video, where it seems like things are going very fast, 31 to 120 cycles per second. But the mind isn't jumping around as it does in beta. It's very focused in a specific kind of way that produces hyper learning, a lot of creativity. It's really being in the zone, in the flow of things. And also people with a high level of gamma have more compassion and empathy. They tend to be more whole-brained. So what are some of the benefits of gamma brain waves? First of all, they are not the same as gamma rays. Gamma rays are produced by lightning and nuclear explosions, though gamma waves are similar in that they are highly energetic, extremely fast, even though they have a small amplitude. Now, what's interesting to me, though, is even though gamma rays are caused by lightning, it's interesting that gamma waves, in a sense, have like lightning flashes of insight, very quick revelations, intuitions that happen, creative energy that just seems in a way like a nuclear explosion. It's whole brain learning, whole brain thinking, as if the whole brain is on fire, so to speak. So there are some parallels here, even though there are some clear distinctions. And gamma brain waves measure between 31 to about 120 cycles per second. And it's interesting because they originate inside the thalamus and then sweep through your entire brain. Now, the thalamus is in something known as the brain cavity, where a lot of the major glands are, the pituitary, the pineal, the thalamus, the hypothalamus. And what's fascinating is in yoga and meditation activities, learning to go into the cave is very important. Jesus was buried in a cave, was born in a manger, some say a cave. So you see parallels to this idea of you go into a cave in order to go through some sort of transformation or birth experience. And so there's some significant parallel here with what's going on in gamma brainwaves. I also believe that there's some level of highly energized transformation that's happening, and that is not scientifically proven. That's part of my understanding as gamma waves are activated in relationship to consciousness. So here's some of the benefits. You achieve peak concentration and focus. So there's a certain level of meditation where it becomes very focused, and it starts to enter into that flow or that zone where paradoxically the mind is thinking very fast, but it just seems to like let go. So it's like there's no thingness, nothingness. There's no thoughtness there, even though there's like a high intense level of focus and concentration, and then just like flow. That's because you're more fully into the moment. Being in the zone or the flow means that you're fully in the moment. You're not spaced out like you are on a marijuana drug trip. I've never done drugs, but I've been around people that have studied them. You're not in an alpha state, which is where marijuana or alcohol puts you. You're not in an altered state through a drug. You're in a highly awake and aware, focused, concentrated state with all the senses highly alive and aware in the moment. It increases feelings of happiness, ecstasy, oneness, joy. You experience intense feelings of blessing, calm, inner peace. And again, there's another paradox here. Deeply calm and full of inner peace, not like when you come out of Delta after a nice sleep and you just feel all warm and cozy and like you're yourself again. This is different. You're highly alive and awake. And within that, there's a real feeling of vibration and ecstasy, and yet at the same time, inner peace and calm. Great, intense experiences of feeling gratitude. The more gamma you have, the more people tend to have a higher IQ. A lot of gamma raises your cognitive levels of functioning. Really significant. People with high levels of gamma cultivate compassion and empathy more easily for themselves and others. There's something about feeling interconnected in the oneness, alive in the oneness, that helps you place yourself into that field of oneness and also into insights as to what's going on with others. And because of that oneness, that connection, you develop that compassion and empathy for them. It also is known to improve memory recall and expand sensory awareness, which we've talked a little bit about. And it helps you cultivate more self-control, perhaps because you're more awake and self-aware. How do you produce gamma? Well, you can do something that I call a bliss walk. These are amazing. You go ideally out for a walk in nature and you open up all of your senses. You're just very aware of the sun and the warmth on your skin, and if there's a breeze, how it plays on your skin and your eyelashes and your hair and your fingertips, and you're very aware of what all you're hearing sound-wise and what you're seeing, even what you're tasting and you're smelling. You just really push the limits of opening up all of your senses. And you can even take it a little bit further, and you can start to imagine that you are one with everything, and that everything in a sense is making love to you. So the sun is warming your body because it's making love to you. The wind is playing through your hair because it's making love to you. Even talking about it, I can start to put myself kind of in that space, even though I'm not out on a bliss walk. There are highly ecstatic, fully present moment, opening up all the senses. And having studied brainwaves now, I know what I've done all these years when I've been in a bliss walk is I've been putting my brain into a gamma state. Meditate. It really is the best way to produce regular, sustained amounts of gamma brainwaves. You can practice ecstatic dancing, like the kind whirling dervishes do in Sufi practices. You can get into the flow through creative activities, not where you're thinking hard about, should I do this or should I do that? The flow is that so in the moment that it just lets go and comes through you, and everything just feels perfect. Even though you're in a state of doing, you're also in a state of being. You can immerse yourself in acts of loving kindness and compassion. How many times we're in a certain funky kind of state, and then we're called to serve others, and we're immediately taken out of ourselves, put in the present moment, more alive as to what is needed from ourselves, what is needed in regards to others. We can visualize doing what we love, or visualize helping and serving others. So a good kind of spiritual practice, if you're unhappy with your life or your circumstance, start to visualize living the life that you love, not so you have lots of money and power and fame or sex or whatever stuff, that's all ego stuff, but visualize doing what you love so that it helps others, serves others, benefits others. That gets more gamma going. and immerse yourself in something you really love to do, which, as I said, is also of benefit to others in a very creative and enlivening way. Can we have too much gamma? It sounds so great, gamma. How can we have too much? Well, when you have too much gamma, you tend to become hyper and overstimulated. You can even become ungrounded and manic, causing you to overestimate your true impact as being positive when your impact may actually be highly unrealistic. So it ends up being more chaotic instead of creatively inspired and directed in a way that is really flowing, really helping, really moving life forward. This just becomes chaos. In yoga, you become too rajastic or active instead of sattvic. And the key is to learn how to express the gamma state of happiness and flow also in a way that truly benefits others. It's not just to get yourself into a high or into a state. It's to get yourself into a spiritual stage of growth and development where you sustain gamma for the sake of benefiting others. So when you have too little gamma, you tend to be stuck in the past. When we have traumatic experiences, we may loop over the past over and over again because we're not having enough gamma to help move us into the present moment more. So we may want to participate in activities that create gamma brainwave states to help get us in the present moment more. We've already mentioned how you can have difficulty learning, a lack of focus, concentration, impaired mental processing. You tend to become overly depressed and stressed. And it's interesting because a lot of times that depression has an underlying bitterness and anger that you're afraid to really express in a healthy way. Anger in a healthy way helps you set boundaries and create a field of mutual respect. When we're afraid to do that, depression to me is like a swamp. We can't let go of what we need to let go of, and we can't set boundaries and get mad in a healthy way that we need to. So we just lie there kind of listless, and we shy away from doing what we really love or what we're really here for. We also shy away from loving ourselves and being loved. In yoga terms, you can become too tamasic, which is equivalent to being listless and unmotivated, and the key is to activate more gamma through one of the previous suggestions in this video. So there you have gamma brainwaves, brief overview. This is a little bit about me, and the next slide to follow is about how to contact me if you'd like to.